Hello and welcome everybody. Matt from Pure MTG here. So I'm doing tips and tricks videos on all the variety of different tools that I use to build decks. I've done one on Commander Spellbook, EDH Rec. I've got this Mox Field. This is how I build my decks. You can use Archidect as another one. I like Mox Field personally better. It's more, I don't know, it has more features that I use in a better, more friendly way to use them. So I wanted to kind of share my tips and tricks on how to use Mox Field. If you like the video, like the video. If you don't like it, thumbs down the video. Make sure you comment below if I've missed any things that you use for, or any tips and tricks that you use for Moxfield, because I like learning new stuff. I've learned a couple things just by doing the other videos about Moxfield. Moxfield has some awesome stuff. So let's get started. I'll grab just a random deck that I have. This is my my month deck. I've done a deck tech on this. This is like the Jam monthly thingy majigger deck. $500 budget. Basically, when you first pull up a deck, let's add a new deck. That's not what I want to do. Let's add a new deck. New deck. So you give it a name, whatever, and then you type in your commander. We'll say Wernog. Boom. And then if you have a best friend, you have Bjorna. Boom. And then you can create it by folders. I don't have any folders. You can set if you want it public, unlisted, or private. I just leave all mine public. I don't really care. And then if it's on an existing deck list, you have those options. All right. So create. You can import deck lists, which is pretty cool as well. The cool thing about this is that as you're building your deck, this will only allow you to add cards that are in your colors. So if you try to do like rampant growth, it will not show you the card because it's not there. But if you go and add like Brainstorm, it's going to be there. Boom, you click it, it adds the card. Happy days. Another cool feature that I know of is in this lightning bolt. So this lightning bolt is called Add Packages. You can click on Add Packages and you can make your own package. So say you build a ton of decks and you're like, I know that in every commander deck I'm going to run Command Tower, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. You know, there's like staples that you run in every deck. What you can do is you can create these packages. What I like to do is there's also other packages. There's add sample land base. The sample land base, I think if I'm not mistaken, will add the mana based on your commanders. So I'll click add sample mana base. 37 lands, and it does look like there are no green. So yeah, so it's going to add a sample mana base equal to the colors of your commander. Now, granted, these are not going to be great, but what it does do is it fills in the slot, right? It kind of just gives you a sample base. Another thing you can do is there's hotkeys. So if you're holding down Alt and you hit 2, it's going to remove that card. So I can hit Alt 2, Alt 2. I can just like spam, boom, 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 boom. These are all gone. Say mountains. Say if I'm like, well, I want to add more mountains. You can hold Alt and 1, and you can add multiples of that. Now, sometimes what it'll do, they'll move based on your sorting. So what you'll start doing is you'll add more mountains, and then it'll shift a spot, and then you'll add one of something else. So be careful on that. Another thing you do if you really want is you can right click and you can add more. It even tells you the hotkeys: add, remove, move to sideboard, move to considering. Those are the hotkeys that I do know. I don't really know any other hotkeys, but this is the most important ones: add and remove, which is nice. So let's remove this mana base. This is going to be the fastest way to remove the mana base, besides potentially just recreating. So then what I can do is I can also add package. We can do add. So this was cheap. Now let's add the expensive mana base. So this is going to be your Badlands, your Bayou, stuff like that. Another thing that I like to do is a lot of the decks that I build, they're basically on a budget. When I say on a budget, I don't mean they're on a low dollar budget. I mean they're on a budget of $1 amount. Say my budget is $500. That's the budget that it's on for that deck. This deck that I was doing right here, this other Werner deck is on a $500 budget. So I would probably want to use, if I added that package in, I'd probably want to use the sample land base that is cheap, because if you go here and you click on name and you click on price and then you click on advanced, and down here on the include extra data, you click on price and hit save. What that's going to do is that's going to tell you how much your mana base costs. This mana base at expensive is $3,337.30. Obviously, that's a lot. Because it's sorting by price, you can actually see what makes this so expensive. It makes it so expensive because there are a ton of dual lands in here that are thousands of dollars each. One of the cool things you can do about that is, okay, say you're not on like a budget, maybe you're making proxies or you just got money, but you don't have like $3,000 money. So $3,000 is a ton of money. Now, what happens if I control two on all of these dual lands? How about $400? $400 is a lot less than 3,300, significantly, and this is still a good mana base. You've got fetch lands, you've got dual lands, and everything is great. So it's got triomes. So this is a good mana base. So what this will save you a ton of time by getting a solid mana base, add expensive, remove the actual alpha beta dual lands, and this gives you a very good baseline for your mana. So that's a cool thing. Another thing is if you're building for CEDH, there's something called add CEDH staples. That's going to be a lot of money, but we'll add it. We'll click it. It's a lot of cards. It's like every CEDH staple. So what you're going to have to do is you add them and then remove them. But this is a compilation of a ton of these CEDH staples that you'll probably want to run, but not everyone will want to run all of them. So you add them, boom. It's going to be a lot of them. Obviously, there's 207 in the main deck. I probably wouldn't use this one that often. When you're playing like a 4-color deck, it's going to add a ton. But what you can do is you can like run through like, okay, and remove each ones that don't really make the deck make the cut. And this just gives you a very good sample of what are really, really good for your deck. Oh, actually, there is an easier way to remove everything without deleting. You can do bulk edit. You can hit Control A and hit delete. And then you can hit save. And then it'll go back to the deck having nothing in it. And then you're like, okay, so the advanced CDH thing sucked. It like wrecked my deck. So then you go, actually, let's add the mana base. So the cheap mana base is $4.79. And the expensive mana base is $3,379.30. But honestly, what I would like to do, you can do the bulk edit again, Control A, delete, hit save. I think the best way to do it for the majority of people, I think, is to add the expensive base, make sure you sort by price, and then just remove all the expensive ones, which you're really only moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them, and realistically, you could easily go 1, 2, 3. See what I'm talking about when they move around when it's sorted by price? 4, 5, 6. Sure. So now you have. Whoops, I did the wrong one. We'll say 37 land. So that's $400, and then if that's too expensive for you, remember this is sorted by price. So you can easily start removing, like that's $33, 33. That's another 30. That's another 30. 23, 20. So now you're down to $17 for land. So now you're down to $184, and you can either add in more. You can add in more cheaper lands, or you can use another feature that's great on here. Is you can go over here. It says EDH Rex. Click on EDH Rex. Now, I would normally only do EDH Rex when you're closer to the deck finishing. But what this does allow you to do is it gives you the top 100 recommendations from edhrec.com. So you can kind of scroll through here and look for cheap lands. So these are all fairly expensive because we just removed those. You can kind of scroll through real quick to see if you see any cheap lands. Obviously very expensive, very expensive. Mirkwood Bats is great for this deck. But okay, here we go. Artifact land, 80 cents. You can click on the little plus over here. Boom, let's add that. Let's add a Great Furnace. Let's add a Vault of Whispers. Let's see here. Volta Champion is only $12. That's not too bad. Let's add that. Inventor's Fair, that's pretty decent. Let's add that. And then you can go back to the top, back to the deck list. And another cool thing you could do is those cards you just added, if you really wanted to, and you could do that again. You might be able to. You can use the advanced search. I've never used this, but I have to imagine you could probably look for lands under a certain budget. I have to imagine there's mana cost, mana value. Is there price anywhere? There's no price. That really should be. Oh, you can order it by price. Yeah, you can order by price USD, do lands. Can you do card type land? You just search. Well, I guess that's going to give you probably every land, not sorted by EDH rec. But you can sort by price. So the most expensive land you can get is Bazaar of Baghdad, obviously. That makes sense. Then you can scroll all the way down and start seeing, yeah, see where you go. So you got cards like Sea of Clouds, which is great. This is a great land to have in that deck. The pathways are also pretty cheap. So a lot of cool different ways you can do it. I'm sure there's better ways to do it, but another thing is when you get close to your deck. So say you're like my other deck. So that we'll scrap this deck and go to a different deck. So my decks, so I have a variety of different decks, and it's got a nice catalog, all free, by the way. Say we go to a deck that's already completed. Say we're going to go to Warnog. This is the deck that I actually am currently running. So the deck's done, right? It's got 100 cards in the main deck. It's got basically under budget, and I can also I can click on EDH Rec. Say I'm like so on one card. So now the EDH Rec has more information on what to recommend. Based on what I already have in the deck. So now it's going to take a little longer because it's looking, but it's going to start recommending different cards that are from EDH Rec. And what it's doing is it's basically going to the EDH Rec site, looking at the commanders that I'm running, looking at what's currently in the deck, and then it's recommending based on whatever I'm running, basically. Like, it's using percentages and algorithms and all that other stuff. The stuff behind the scenes. But it's great because it allows you to like go through and see the cards that you might not think about. Obviously, Orcus Bowmasters is fantastic, but I can't fit it. It's $40. One thing I would like, and I don't know if there's a way to do this for Moxfield, if you're for some reason watching this video, I'd like to be able to sort this list. Or rather, I'd like to be able to do EDH Rec cheap and EDH Rec expensive, basically. So budget and expensive, because these are all expensive. I mean, a lot of times you have to kind of scroll through. You're like, okay, Felwar Stone, 47 cents. But again, you got $30, $16, $35. When you're on EDH Rec itself, if you can go check out that video, when you're on EDH Rec itself, there's a way to sort by budget. And doesn't seem to be a way, and maybe if there is a way, that'd be awesome. Doesn't seem to be a way to do that when you're searching for EDH Recs, but I still use this a lot. What I'll do is I'll have the deck mostly built, and then I'll click on EDH Recs, and then I'll just kind of scroll through, mostly looking at the price first, because I don't want to look at a card and go, oh, that's sick, and then realize it's like $15 or whatever, then I can't fit it. But yeah, like a Felwar Stone, probably better than Azorius Signet that I have in my deck, because Azorius requires a mana to tap it, but this can just tap it on its own. Like I said, I'm still tinkering with it a little bit because of budget purposes. But yeah, cards I've never heard of, like Lotho, Corrupt Sheriff. I know I did hear of this from the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, the Talisman, Mirkwood Bass is another good one. Obviously, it's going to recommend you to run Fierce Guardianship and all those. Of course, Thassa's Oracle, one of the cheapest I say cheap as in like morality. I don't like Thassa's Oracle. I think it should be banned. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's basically all I use Moxfield for. I use it for a compilation of my decks. You can basically build this. If you use Moxfield, EDH Rec, and Commander Spellbook, with those three sites, those are the main three tools that I use to build decks. There is one more that I'll do a video on that is called MTG Assist. This is a much lesser known site, I think, because it takes forever to load and it's not the greatest, but it does things that it's unique, I think. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I had taught you guys something, or you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.